Good morning, everyone. Today is August the 2nd, Wednesday, 2023. All right, so y'all know that this whole Florida curriculum thing, it's kind of been trending in the news a little bit. Good morning, Doki Bible Club. Yeah, and as we get ready to get into this, y'all go ahead and hit that like button for me. Appreciate the support. So apparently, Kamala Harris is facing some backlash about some comments that she's made about the Florida curriculum about Black history. Now, this is what I want to say to everyone: learn how to look into stuff before you just take what people say and run with it. Okay. Just like last week, we covered the lady who is the quote unquote demon buster. She's a part of the people who put this curriculum together to teach the full aspect of Black history. And I think that a lot of times as Black people, we do ourselves a disservice by listening to what mainstream liberal people, and just to be honest, a lot of these people are not Black. Whatever they tell Black people is right or wrong. It's like we just kind of dive head first into whatever these people put out on the mainstream media instead of us being able to think for ourselves and say, is this curriculum something that's pretty bad, or is it good? And if it is bad, well, then what is the solution to putting in the correct curriculum to make sure that all aspects of Black history is being told equally, is told truthfully and honestly? So, kind of don't want to give too much of a spiel before I get into this article, because I think that this article is going to clear up some of the stuff that I'm talking about right now. And as always, I'll give my spiel at the end anyway. So, a lot to unpack with this particular article, with this particular subject, and we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. All right. So, the title, and this is from the ChristianPost.com. It says Black academic behind Florida's curriculum denounces Kamala Harris's lies, quote unquote, lies about slavery material. There is y'all VP, sister girl, Kamala Harris. One of the academics behind Florida's new social studies curriculum denounced Vice President Kamala Harris's claim that the material teaches students that Blacks benefited from slavery. William Allen is the former chairman of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights and professor emeritus, emeritus, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, of political science at Michigan State University. He is currently a member of Florida's African American History Standards Work Group. During an interview with Fox News host Jesse Waters last Monday, Allen declined to speculate on the motive behind Harris's statements, admitting that he does not know them. I always find it kind of odd when someone says, well, what do you think the motives is behind said person's statements or actions? It's just like, I don't know. I mean, people are doing some crazy stuff nowadays. You can't expect me to explain what the opposition is doing. I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know if it's a bigger agenda or if they just don't like me personally. Quote, we can all have suspicions that there's a dishonest purpose afoot, he said. But what's more important than that dishonest purpose is the truth. And this curriculum is devoted to telling the truth, whereas Kamala Harris has retold a lie. Now, it may only have been a falsehood the first time she stated it, but when you repeat a falsehood, it becomes a lie. How many of y'all agree with that? How many of y'all agree with that? Scroll down a little bit. Yeah, because I mean, in a way, I kind of agree. Because my thing is that if something is a known lie, and people tell me that it's a lie, and I keep repeating it over and over and over, then it's just like, okay, well, dude, it seems like that there's an agenda here. It seems like that you're trying to perpetuate something, and then the next question becomes, well, why? Like, what is your agenda, really? If somebody has already told you, hey, that's actually not true, and you continue to keep repeating that lie, then it becomes clear that you have an agenda, and then the agenda is, what is the purpose that you're trying to accomplish? Allen clarified that the curriculum shows people who lived through slavery to, quote unquote, tell their stories, giving the example of social reformer and former slave Frederick Douglass. Allen cited the movement in Douglass's autobiography, describing how the mistress of a slave owner began teaching him how to read. Quote, she pulled back the curtain through which a glimmer of light shone before her master forced her to close it, Allen said. But that glimmer of light was enough for Frederick Douglass to illuminate a bright flame that he exploited to his benefit and his country's benefit thereafter, end quote. Actually, I think I need to, excuse me, I think I need to ask a poll. Let me just divert real quick because I want to know, and I'm going to go, and I should have already put this in the chat earlier. Let me see, because I want to know that slaves or that black people benefit from slavery, and we're going to be honest right now. I'm going to be honest right now, and y'all know that these polls are anonymous. Let me see if I can get this to pull up, because for some reason, sometimes this pulls up and sometimes it doesn't, like it is now. Actually, I don't think I can get this just to pull up for some reason. I don't know. Here we go. So I gotta refresh. I gotta refresh my screen a few times. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. All right. All right. So I'm putting this in the poll right now. Did blacks benefit from slavery? I already see some people commenting right now. They let me know right now what they believe. All right, so let's do this. Good morning, Steve. And also good morning. Good morning, Marshall K. Johnson. Not of church. Good morning, good morning. How are you? NOTC says that Allen misquotes Douglas and that Allen does not account for all that Douglas said. Yeah, point out the misquotation and then give us the correct quotation. Let's continue. Quote, such examples are numerous, and they are retelling the stories of people who suffered the indignity of slavery time and time again, end quote. On July 19th, the Florida Board of Education approved new social studies standards following the passage of a law known as the Stop Wrongs to Our Kids and Employees Act, which prohibits teaching that anyone must feel guilt due to their race. Now, what is wrong with that? That's what I want to know. What is wrong with the Florida Department of Education saying that we don't want anyone to be teaching that a person should feel bad about their race? Because there was curriculums and there was things being taught inside some of these school classrooms where children were being told that because of their race, they should feel bad, whether they were black or white. You know, if you were a white kid and you were born white, which you had nothing to do with. I mean, you couldn't choose your race, your ethnicity, your background. You were told that you were an oppressor that your ancestors oppressed black people, although if your ancestors didn't come over here until well after slavery, it had nothing to do with slavery, but you should feel bad because your quote unquote white lineage is what has led to the enslavements of blacks, or you somehow benefit uh from your quote unquote whiteness. And if you're black, your people were slaves, and you are part of this oppressed minority group. So no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try in America, you're probably not going to make it because you're black, and that's just the system that we live up under. Yeah, that stuff was actually being taught in schools where you as a taxpayer were paying for. And if you disagree with those sentiments, then they're just like, well, we don't care. Just continue to keep paying your taxes, and we're going to keep teaching what we want to teach. And this is when Florida, the government of Florida says, no, we're not going to do that anymore. If we're going to teach truth, we're going to teach it all. And the reason why this whole Black History curriculum thing started, and this is what people don't really talk about a lot, is that the LGBTQ community tried to latch that on with their sexual education in these elementary schools. These people were trying to teach some pretty graphic and gross stuff pertaining to sex inside of the classroom with these children. It wasn't about reproduction and procreation, it was about drag queens and how to pleasure yourself and how to pleasure others and how to let others pleasure you. I mean, all types of just nasty, silly stuff. You guys remember, I've covered this a couple of times, especially in the Christian news segments. You guys can go and watch that. I made a whole playlist of Christian news so you can catch up on all of the stories that I've covered in the past. But in this particular instance, I covered the books that were in school library. We're talking about elementary school libraries. I'm not talking about middle school or high school, elementary school libraries, where they had some pretty graphic, not only just images, but pretty graphic material on sexuality. I mean, and they got the little cartoon images and all of that, so therefore it'll be appealing to kids, teaching transgenderism and all of that stuff. But anyway, when those books started to circulate and people started going into their children's libraries and noticing that these books were somehow slipped into the libraries, a lot of parents were outraged and they said, why are my kids reading this? And I even did a video about this where the parents took these books to a school board meeting and they started to read some of these books aloud in front of everyone at the school board meeting. And the school board, the people who were supposed to be making a decision, they made them stop reading the books. These are the people that said that these books should be allowed in the schools. And when the parents started reading passages from these from these books, the school board made them stop and said that they don't want to hear that. So then the parents were just like, okay, well, if you don't want to hear it right now in the public and it's making you uncomfortable, then imagine how I feel as a parent knowing that these books are in my child's library. So the LGBTQ people, so they knew that they couldn't get their sexual curriculum passed in the schools, so they had to attach, and which a lot of people do, and I hate when people do this, they had to attach this Black history, this skewed view of Black history onto that curriculum to say that, well, you have to accept our sexual curriculum plus the Black curriculum. And if you try to separate it and say, well, we'll take the Black curriculum and we'll just, we don't want the sexual curriculum, now you're being hateful. Now you're being bigots. You got to accept both of the curriculums, or you don't accept any of it. And that's how we got to this point, because the Florida governor says, Okay, yeah, maybe we do need to learn more about Black history, the truth about Black history. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's come up with a curriculum that's going to tell the truth about Black history. Maybe we need to do better with that, which I agree. And this is how we get to this point. Now that they got the truth about Black history coming out, now it's this. Oh well, you guys are saying that slavery was good and X, Y, and Z, and we read the curriculum last time on here. All you got to do is go back to that video. That's the one with the demon buster. We read the curriculum. I just hate when people use Black people as pawns. I mean, especially like for political gain. I really, really hate that. This is why a lot of times I get fired up over these subjects. Anyway, kind of deviated from the whole uh from this whole article. Let's go ahead and continue to read. The 216-page document includes topics related to Black history with different standards for elementary, middle, and high school students. One section of the curriculum that has attracted controversy is the standards for grades 6 through 8 call for examining, quote, the various duties and trades performed by slaves, e.g., agricultural work, painting, carpentry, tailoring, domestic service, blacksmithing, transportation, end quote. And this is one thing that I think that is so important. So important. It has different standards for elementary, middle, and high school students. That's what I like, is that they're just not just throwing out a whole bunch of information to a bunch of elementary school kids or middle school kids and high school kids that some of them, number one, may not be interested in, or something that may be too graphic for the young kids. It's like in certain you gotta teach certain things in certain stages. You may not want to get too graphic with an elementary school kid versus a high school kid. And you don't want to dumb down the history to a high school kid when they should be learning the full aspects of slavery, whether it's good or bad, whether it's beneficial or not. Let me go ahead and check this poll. 40% of you says that blacks did not benefit from slavery. I'm sorry, 40% of you said blacks did benefit from slavery, and 60% of you says that blacks did not benefit from slavery. All right, let's continue. Quote, instruction includes how slaves develop skills which, in some instances, could be applied for their personal benefit. End quote. The document reads. Vice President Harris commented on the curriculum remarks on July 20th at a national convention of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. During her speech, Harris alleged that Florida, quote, decided middle school students will be taught that enslaved people benefited from slavery, end quote. Now, here's the thing. I think that what is going on is people are making these blanket statements. Oh, you're trying to say that black people benefited from slavery. So people hear that and then they get triggered by saying, well, how can a person benefit from slavery? So they put that argument out there. So therefore, when a person tries to defend it and say, well, hey, there's context behind this agenda or this statement that you're trying to purport, people don't want to hear it. By that time, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear that, oh, you're trying to say that black people benefited from slavery. To where if we just look at the context, let's just say, if we're really examining this, are there certain things that blacks picked up from slavery? Yeah, they did. I mean, for instance, and I'm not going to try to deviate too much. There was a guy named William Ellison. William Ellison was a black man, right? Marshall K. Sororities, right? That's a whole nother topic. Um, but man, I almost lost my train of thought because yeah, now I'm thinking about sororities. But no, there was a guy named William Ellison, and William Ellison learned how to fix cotton gin machines. And when he started learning how to fix cotton gin machines, he was making money. He was making money from from a, a lot of the other plantations who had cotton gin machines, and he made so much money that number one, he was able to buy his freedom. And then you know what he did when he bought his freedom? He turned around and then bought slaves. Yeah, that actually happened, and I actually covered that on my channel. I did a live stream on that. Look it up. There's a guy named William Ellison, and he wasn't the only one who made money off of learning like a trade during the time that he was an enslaved person. These were people during that time who made money, bought their freedom from making the money from the trades that they acquired as slaves, and then they turn around and bought slaves themselves. It's written history, it's documented. But this is what people don't want to talk about. So then the question has to be, now let's ask the question again. Did slaves benefit from slavery? If people were able to pick up a trade or a craft, make money, and then buy their freedom, enough so to where they can turn around and buy their own slaves, black people with their own slaves. I mean, man, we got to stop the madness. We really got to start teaching the true history. Quote, they insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not stand for it. We who share collective experience and knowing we must honor history and our duty in the context of legacy, she said. And this is Kamala Harris. The vice president made similar remarks the following day in Jacksonville, Florida, claiming that, quote, they want to replace history with lies, end quote. According to Waters, the controversy surrounding the curriculum appeared to generate more attention following Allen's interview with WPLG Local 10 News, which is affiliated with ABC News. That's in South Florida. I used to watch WPLG News when I was in Fort Lauderdale. That's like Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. However, WPLG included a clip in which Allen states that it was, quote, the case that Africans proved resourceful, resilient, and adaptive, and were able to develop skills and aptitudes which served for their benefit both while enslaved and after enslavement, end quote. For his part, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis sent a letter to Harris inviting her to discuss the African American Studies curriculum with him and Allen. So he says, let's talk about this. Let's come together. Let's talk about this. If you got problems with it, well, you're the vice president of the United States. I'm only the governor of Florida. Let's talk about this. He invited her to have that discussion. Quote, I am prepared to meet as early as Wednesday of this week, but of course, want to be differential to your busy schedule should you already have a trip to the southern border planned for that day, end quote, wrote DeSantis as quoted by ABC News. Quote, please let me know as soon as possible what an example we could set for the nation. A serious conversation on the substance of an important issue. Hope you're feeling up to it, end quote. That's the end of this article. Now, y'all tell me what's the problem with that. Tell me what's the problem with that. Because people like Kamala Harris has something bad to say about this curriculum, and Governor Ron DeSantis is extending an olive branch and saying, let's talk about it. If you think that there's something wrong with it, let me know. Let's come together. Let's sit down. Let's sit down. Let's have a conversation. But see, this is the stuff that they don't tell y'all. They don't tell y'all this. They like gaslighting people. And a lot of times people just get so up in arms. Like I sit back and I listen to people, and they, oh, that governor in South Florida, he don't want Black history to be taught. Have you even read the curriculum? Jashub says the curriculum is good. And majority of the people who have not, who speak against the curriculum, most of them, and I'm pretty sure probably all of them, have not even read the curriculum. They haven't. Just like a lot of people don't even know about William Ellison, who I was just talking about earlier, about 5 minutes ago. The man repaired cotton gin machines, made enough money to buy his freedom, and then turned around and made more money to buy slaves. Had his own plantation. And then here's another fact that people don't talk about. He treated his slaves worse than the white folks. The white folks was just like, man, dang, I mean, I know I'm a slave owner, but they was just like, man, he treated his slaves way worse. A Black man with slaves bought his freedom and then bought slaves after that. Come on, I mean, man, let's stop being honest. And us as church, us as Christians, we got to be up for the truth. We can't be running around here just falling into these lies. We can't do that. The truth is the truth. If Black people during slavery picked up trades to where they were able to make money, and this is what they don't tell you, when Blacks did such good work, or whenever they did a trade pretty well, they other plantation owners would hire that slave to repair or fix or build, whatever they needed on their plantations. Now, here's the thing. Chattel slavery was horrible. If y'all don't know my position on that, it was horrible. Inhumane to own another person. Now y'all about to make me start putting on my Black Power hat. Whenever we were dish lemons as Black people, we learned how to make lemonade. You gave us peanuts, we made peanut butter. Because it was about survival. Survival. Even during segregation, the Black community flourished, and we learned how to pick up more trades because we had to survive. Because the racists were not going to do it, and it wasn't all white people. There were some white people who helped benefit the Black community. These are the things that people don't want to talk about. Because, ironically, white people done told some of y'all that history was different. White liberal people. The same people that y'all go running to the polls for, voting for, and they ain't giving you jack. Don't let me get started. Y'all ran to the polls to go put Kamala Harris in office, a lady who pretended to be Black the whole time she was running for president. But then as soon as she became vice president, then she wanted to be this Indian woman again. Oh, I'm the first Indian vice president of the United States. Oh, it's good for me and my Indian people to see a person that's Indian up in the office. Come on, I mean, let's see what Sister Lewis says. She says the curriculum won't allow Blacks to stay in the woe was me syndrome for long. It highlights us overcoming. It does not deny that slavery happened. Jeez, yeah, correct. Yeah, Marshall K. Johnson says Dr. Anderson wrote about it in his books. And I mean, that's just the thing. Black people, we got to start being honest. We got to start being honest, especially us as Christians. Whatever the world wants to do, we let the world do what they're going to do. But as us as Christians, man, we got to be truthful. Stop shooting down the curriculum. Go and read it for yourself. That's all I got to say. Go and read the curriculum for yourself, and then you turn around and make a video or email me with the highlighted stuff that's in a curriculum that's problematic. That's what you do. And with that, man, I got to get up out of here. Y'all know I can talk about this for the next 30, 40 minutes. I'll turn around and throw the link out there and we'll be on here for 3 hours. But anyway, let me go ahead and check this poll before we get up out of here. All right, here we go. All right, so it seems like from the last time I checked the poll, which is probably about 10 minutes ago, I asked in the poll here on Facebook. I'm sorry, not Facebook, but on YouTube. So you guys on Facebook and Twitter, you guys may not be able to see this, but this is a poll that's only in YouTube. I asked the question, did blacks benefit from slavery? Now, before, majority of you said no, but now we have tables have turned. It's saying that majority of you are saying yes. 64% says yes, blacks benefited from slavery, and 36% of you said no, blacks did not benefit from slavery. And I mean, again, nobody's saying that if it wasn't for slavery, black people wouldn't be nothing and all of that stuff. No, if we're just being honest, there were some things that black people picked up during slave time that if just left to their own devices, they may not have picked it up if they were just in another part of the country. Again, not saying that slavery was so beneficial to black people, but where would we be without slavery? No, ain't nobody saying that. Ain't nobody like the Demon Buster saying that, oh, I thank God for slavery. None of us are saying any of that. All right. Anyway, let me get ready to get up out of here. Y'all know what to do. Hit that like button, rate, share, comment, subscribe. Hit that notifications bell so whenever I get ready to go live, you guys will be the first ones to see it. And as soon as you get that notification, you'll be able to catch the live streams from the beginning. And with that, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And I will see you guys next time, Lord willing.